Alrighty guys, what is up? Great Squatch here. Now today, I was thinking about talking about what weapons should you bring into the final shape. Now again, a little late to the party, it's only less than 2 weeks left now, but I still think it's good. And this isn't going to be like, these are the specific weapons you would want. It's just like an idea of like, do you have these kinds of weapons? And are they like, because everybody likes different weapons, so if you have something with similar traits or perks, it could help you in the final shape and make maybe the legendary campaign easier or farming whatever activity gives the best loot from the final shape. Because let's be honest, the weapons you're using now are just going to be power crept. Like the things in the final shape are going to come out and they're going to be tiers above what we have now. Otherwise, why would you use them? And if they're not, I'll eat my words. But that generally is what happens with an expansion, that a lot of the weapons are just tiers above what we already have. So what weapons are you going to be looking out? Should you be looking out for? Right? We have 4 seasons worth of content. We have Into the Light. We have a bunch of raids. We also have dungeons. Not all of it's free, but Into the Light does offer a lot of options for people who can't get stuff or don't want to waste their money on other things. So we're going to start out with kinetic weapons. Don't worry about the exotics yet. Kinetic weapons. And I'm going to start out with a Chill Clip fusion rifle. Whether it be this one, Deliverance, or Riptide, you are going to be looking for a Chill Clip fusion. And you might be like, well, I don't see anybody running this one right now. Why should I get this one over Riptide? I'm really just showing you good Chill Clip fusion rifles, or a good Chill Clip fusion rifle to go get for the final shape. Because in the final shape, Chill Clip is getting a buff on slower fire rate fusion rifles. And this one's free to all players. Same thing with Riptide. But you see this perk here right here? Reconstruction is going to allow you to proc Chill Clip with even more shots because this will overflow the magazine up to double capacity and will allow you to have a large amount of your shots be Chill Clip without having to reload. Now, another one you could look out for on this one, it does get subsistence, and subsistence with every kill with Chill Clip will refill the magazine. It is also a good thought, but Riptide also gets good perks, and that is from Shaxx, the Crucible vendor. So a Chill Clip fusion rifle is something you're going to be looking out for because Chill Clip is one of the most broken perks in the game. Now, why might I say that? Because Chill Clip can stun Overload with one shot, Unstop if you freeze, and if you have Radiant, then you can stun a barrier champion. It is literally one of the most broken traits in the game. It's just ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. This is just something you should be on the lookout for. It doesn't matter what fusion rifle you get, whatever fits your preference, go and get it. But a Chill Clip one would probably be preferred. Now, I'm just gonna recommend the Mount Top. Mount Top is insane, especially at burst damage on large health bar targets. And it's free to all players at the moment. Go and grind yourself out a mountaintop or maybe another grenade launcher. I didn't get the mag perk that I wanted, but something like this. You can also get Reconstruction, or realistically Reconstruction or Vorpal are the only two I'd look out for in this slot. And auto-looting or Lead from Gold in this slot are the only two I would be looking out for. And you're going to want Spike or Implosion rounds. This thing's a beast. It just chunks enemies. It is solid. It is a good burst damage option that doesn't require you having to aim a sniper or do anything other than pull it out and shoot. It doesn't arc, it doesn't do anything. That's why it makes it better than most grenade launchers. But I digress. Go get yourself a mountaintop and see the results. Now that we got those main things out of the way, right, we're going to go over like certain archetypes of certain weapons that you probably should have. And the first I'm going to talk about, well, we're going to just start with the scatter signal. This fusion rifle is insane. It is from the Season of the Wish. It is probably one of the best kinetic slot fusion rifles in the game. With overflow, controlled burst, you landing every shot in a burst grants this weapon increased damage and reduced charge time for an improved duration. This ups its damage by a significant margin, so much so that this is probably one of the best DPS, primary DPS options in the game if you're not using something like Izanagi's or Witherhoard or any of the other ones. But this is a solid option, but you must have Season of the Wish to go and get this. But if you don't, then Mountaintop is a good alternative, but this is still like #1 primary or kinetic slot fusion rifle. This is probably it. Now, with more fusion rifles, we have the Eremite. Now, this was the big hype in Season of the Wish. This thing is actually still pretty good with Envious Assassin and Reservoir Burst, and it is a solid one to have in your energy slot because Envious Assassin will make the mag bigger, and with the mag bigger, like every shot over the max of your magazine will always be Reservoir Burst shot, and this shot does more. It's like something like 20% extra damage to targets, anything you shoot with it, and if they die to it, they will blow up. So this is a solid fusion rifle. It's a little bit slower charge rate, but it does a lot of damage. Something to be looking out for is a good fusion rifle to have in your energy slot. Now, another good option, if you already have it, it's from Season of Defiance. The Royal Executioner also is a solar fusion rifle. It does shoot a bit faster. It is a solid frame. So if you don't like the slow charge rate of the Eremite, you could go get something like the Reservoir Burst, Envious Assassin, Royal Executioner. It's not far off from the Eremite. It is a solid weapon. There are many fusion rifles that you could get. I just recommend at least having one solid fusion rifle in your energy slot. And you might be like, well, what about like different elemental types? Realistically, with Prismatic, you're not, from what my understanding, you're not going to be worried too much about elemental types of weapons anymore. Like, they'll still matter, but not to the degree that they matter towards your subclass now. At least I don't think. I could be wrong, so don't take my word for it. But I'm just saying a fusion rifle with a solid set of traits that can help you, either clear ads or do a lot of damage to bosses. Now, on to the next thing. Pulse rifles. I'm going to say it now. I think pulse rifles are going to be kind of nutty. And we just got a solid pulse rifle given to us with Into the Light. See, I have Kinetic Tremors and Frenzy on this Blast Furnace. Now, people are kind of sleeping on this Blast Furnace, and I think that's just because with the current DPS numbers, I think that this thing will actually be pretty good because that gets a lot of traits that a lot of other pulse rifles don't get. And I think if you paired Kinetic Tremors is probably the must-have in this first column, and then paired pretty much anything like One for All, Frenzy, Rampage, Rapid Hit, Desperate Measures, any of these perks in these other columns, and you'll be regenerating a lot of your light subclass or darkness subclass abilities with this gun when you get kills with this gun. And this will be filling up your prismatic meter so much faster. And Kinetic Tremors proccing on multiple enemies at one time. This thing is going to be a sleeper pick in Final Shape. Not to say other pulse rifles won't be too good, but I will say that Blast Furnace is one of the few that will probably pull out ahead. I could be wrong. Again, it's just also could be preference. But I would say having a solid pulse rifle, because I don't really see scout rifles going in the meta, because scout rifles aren't getting a significant enough buff that to warrant them being used over pulse rifles at medium to long range. Now for kinetic pulses, I will say if you got like the duality pulse, it could be good. You got Battle Scar, the Messenger. So I think the Messenger can roll with Kinetic Tremors is also good. Also, if you have any pulse rifles that have like strand or stasis effects, like because you're leaning into that subclass a little bit more, that might be a good option. But pulse rifles are going to be a very, very solid option when it comes into the Final Shape. So I would have that. That is my medium to long range option that I'm going to have, and I'm just recommending it to you. Now for the energy slot, again, you're going to want a solid pulse, something that probably works with a 3.0 subclass. So something with, destabilizing rounds or volt shot or incandescent. I have the Elsie's rifle. This is a free to play one. Currently right now you can go get this, and I have destabilizing rounds in this. You can also get repulsor brace in that other column. This thing has a lot of solid traits. If you don't like destabilizing rounds, you can get Desperate Measures, Kill Clip, Adrenaline Junkie, Frenzy. Like this is a solid PvE pulse rifle. Now the only problem I have with something like Elsie's rifle is it's a slow firing pulse rifle. There are other pulse rifles you can go get if you don't like it, but very few of them actually roll with a special 3.0 subclass traits. So it's really up to the user, and I'm going to leave it at that. It's really up to the user on what you want to use, because there's a lot of solid ones, and it's just a matter. I would just have a pulse rifle for that medium to long range PvE engagements that you can do, that you can use, that will be solid. Now onto the next on our list, sniper rifles. It would be good to have something like this Supremacy, or something like the Succession. Obviously my Succession isn't the greatest, like mag perks I messed up, but it's still got the solid rolls, and this does a lot of damage. I would like a different mag perk so I can get some more ammo, but in the Final Shape I will be able to put backup mag and get a larger magazine for it. So something like these guns for high burst damage, long range engagements, like the Supremacy is the king. This is from the Last Wish raid. You can go get it. And I know people like rewind rounds 4 times a charm. I have Kinetic Tremors on it for those instances where you want to kill enemies around the boss as well. It's just a solid option. It's really up to the preference of the user, as long as you have something that can deal range at a distance without putting yourself in the frame. Now I also have the distant pull here, and a reminder is kinetic special weapons are going to be doing the same amount of damage as stasis and strand special weapons. So something like this could be a viable option, where I have Focus Fury Triple Tap. This is a solid one. It has a decent mag. It's also a rapid fire frame. It is a solid sniper rifle, and it's really up to preference. It's just having a good sniper rifle in your kinetic slot and then a good sniper rifle in your energy slot. I think that I messed up with the snapshot sights here, but Father Sin is one of the few that is actually pretty solid. I would not sleep on it. Yeah, I made the mistake. This is supposed to be Focus Fury. It's supposed to be triple tap Focus Fury on this. This is one of the few energy sniper rifles that is craftable in the game that gets solid perks. And again, remember, kinetics are going to be doing the same as energy ones, so it'll prompt you more to be able to use these ones and not feel like you're throwing, if that's your prerogative. Or you can just use whatever you want, because that is your choice. And when somebody comes in and be like, you're not using the meta loadout, but it's still a solid loadout, they could go cry in the corner because you're still doing well. As long as you're doing well and it's not just a complete throw pick, right, then it doesn't matter. Kind of like, some of those comments I got in that video where I was telling people, not telling people, but showing people how to do the raid, and I was using a suboptimal loadout, but I was still keeping up a damage. I was still helping the team. I was doing the mechanics. I was doing everything that I needed to do. I just had done the raid, how many times? I've done it at least 50 times, and I can show you here. Those people just need to get a grip on life, that people might actually want to play a game for fun rather than just meta stuff, because other solid options, Twilight Oath and the Dreaming City is a solid option on a energy sniper rifle. Vanguard has a free-to-play sniper rifle that gets solid perks, last 4 rays, a world drop, so it's harder, but it is a possibility for an energy Ecolos, but that one's really, really hard to actually get decent rolls on or try to get it crafted. So, but you get the idea. There's having a solid energy sniper rifle is going to be a good option. On to the next one. Having a solid disorienting grenade launcher is a good option. Now I have this lingering dread here. It is not the most optimal. You can get shell clip on this. It is from the Duality dungeon, but there is free-to-play options. You have Harden Our Dust. This comes from 30th anniversary. Having a good kinetic grenade launcher that has disorienting grenades is a plus. This blinds anything within the radius, which isn't very large, but it's very easy to use. If you have enemies that just aren't dying or not dying quick enough and you need them to just stop shooting at you, and they're not champions and they're not majors or not bosses or mini bosses, then you can blind them and then they will stop shooting at you for 4.5 seconds. This is a solid option. And also having an energy option. You can have one for each element. I have this empty vessel, which is a Vanguard one, and it is a very solid. It is a free-to-play option. You can get it and it works like a charm. Having auto loading is good because then you can blind the enemies and then swap to your weapon that you're actually killing stuff with and kill enemies. Now, some people might say that why would you need a blinding nade launcher if you're just going to kill everything anyways? But for those players that need help or can't seem to kill stuff fast enough, blinding nade launchers are very good. So do not stuff. Now we're going to move on to some energy weapons that I would recommend, and these are things because they synergize with subclass verbs are good to have. And I would recommend some sort of submachine gun in your energy slot, right? And something that has like a volt shot, for instance, where you get a kill and then the next kill will trigger a arc of electricity that hits a bunch of enemies nearby. This is a really solid perk. Something with volt shot is good. A few SMGs get it, a few hand cannons get it, but having something with volt shot is really good. And then having something with incandescent is also very good. You might be like, why are you using Trust? And again, it's like, because I like Trust, even though it's not like the greatest hand cannon, but I still like the feel of it better than even Luna's Howl in PvE. I still need to get a better roll, but this roll has served me well. So, having something with incandescent, preferably probably something with enhanced incandescent, but anything with incandescent so you can actually apply things that apply to your subclass. And then having something like repulsor brace, or like I showed before with LC's rifle, destabilizing rounds, so that you can actually proc stuff that belong to the subclass that you're on. Again, with Threatsmatic, we don't really know how much of those keywords are going to apply or how they're going to apply necessarily, but it is always good to have those options as a backup. Now, wave frames. When I say get a good solid wave frame, you can get something like Forbearance currently from Into the Light for free, and you got stuff like Ambitious Assassin or Demo in the first column, and then you have Chain Reaction. Yes, Chain Reaction's getting a nerf on special weapons, but it's probably one of the best. You can also get like One for All. And I would just go on a tangent and say, like, what's with wave frame grenade launchers? We have regular grenade launchers and then we have wave frames. Wave frames have made most encounters with ads kind of obsolete, and it might be the reason why the game is so power crept the way it is because you have an option like this that is ridiculously insane. Yes, wave frames kind of fall off in the higher tier content like GMs and stuff, but for most content, wave frames do it all, and there's nothing that can compete with them. I don't know, I'm just not a huge fan of wave frames, but just because of like the way they interact with the game and the way that they just make the game. But having a good wave frame for the final shape is probably good because they're going to make some whack encounters that either have a lot of enemies and this easily can deal with it. So having a solid one, and again, you can get it from Into the Light. Some heavies to be on the lookout for: a solid machine gun. Now there are loads of machine guns, and one that I want to show you that is a world drop, and this is free to all players, is the Marcato. This is, it's random drop, so it is kind of hard to like farm, but most of the ones that I get are usually pretty good. Like this one, I have Demo Onslaught, and it is a very solidly rolled machine gun. But other free-to-play ones is something like Hammerhead. Hammerhead is currently free to all players, and it is probably one of the best machine guns in the game, and not much competes with it. So, getting yourself a good heavy machine gun, and this thing clears ads like no other. It is a solid machine gun. Go get one before Hammerhead's not going away, but before Final Shape arrives, so that you can be prepared, if you want to call it that. Next, having a good heavy grenade launcher is also a good option, because grenade launchers do a very reputable amount of damage. Generally, they do more damage than rockets with Wolfpack, so having something solid in your grenade launcher slot, or your heavy slot for a grenade launcher, is a good option. And there's loads of good or decent to amazing grenade launchers that you can get. Edge Transit is free at the moment, so you can go get that, and it comes from Into the Light as well. It is very easy to get, and it comes with a lot of amazing rolls. It is one of the best grenade launchers in the game. Don't short yourself by not going and getting it. Now, heavy linear fusion rifles. I know we haven't really used a lot of heavy linear fusion rifles here of recent, but I would still say that they're probably a good option to go and get a good one. The Taipan is free. I think it's one of the free crafting weapons that you can get, and have a amazingly rolled linear fusion rifle that you can have. And now, why would you want a linear fusion rifle over a grenade launcher? One, too many enemies around you, or the precision spot is too small, or it's too far away. You don't want to accidentally kill yourself. and it does pretty reputable damage, solid damage that, you know, unless you're running into a really, really tight window, linear fusions are a really solid option. Rockets are really, really good. Always good to have a solid rocket. I have this Apex Predator. It comes from Blast Wish Raid. It gets the reconstruction bait and switch roll that everybody raves about. It is a solid option. Now, you don't really want to be running this if you don't have a Gallahorn, but it is still a solid option. Getting good rockets is also something, or maybe one good rocket. Apex Predator is just one of them that you could get. There's also the World Drop that you can get. You can also focus a Hothead at Zavala. There's also an Arc Rocket at Shaxx that you could get. There's a lot of good rockets in the game that you can get. I think there's a free-to-play option, the Palmera B. Now, it isn't part of the best archetype, but you do get a lot of ammo for it. So, like, there are a lot of good options that you can get to crap, but having a good damage rocket will be good for the final shape. And then at least having one sword. Now, I know swords are kind of a meme, and realistically, if Crota wasn't the way he was, then people would have just used rockets and grenade launchers and anything other than swords for him. But because he was the way he was, swords were the best option. And who knows, we might have another raid boss like that on our hands in the next expansion. Maybe that's why they nerfed Lament when nobody asked for the nerf to Lament. Nobody was running around with a Lament just, you know, using it for healing to heal past some certain checkpoint or do some crazy thing. Nobody was. But having a solid sword will come in handy. Now, most swords are tied to DLCs or seasons or dungeons, and yeah, you might be kind of out of luck on that one unless you go buy a season or an expansion. But there is one option that you can get from Into the Light. Again, with Into the Light, I do not have a good roll of this, but a Falling Guillotine from Into the Light is probably one of the better sword options if you don't have anything else. But if you do have other seasons and expansions, you know, there are better swords than Into the Light, like the Deepstone Crypt one that I showed, like the Deepstone Crypt one, the Bequest. So having at least one solid sword is probably going to be really good in the final shape. Now we're on to our final part of this video. We're going to be talking about some exotics I would recommend getting if you don't already have them. These are probably like the most necessary exotics. Well, not necessary. Nothing's necessary. You can go get what you want. You can play the game how you want, however you want. But if you want to make your life a little bit easier, Outbreak Perfected is probably number one on the list. The new Outbreak Perfected is insane. I only have rapid hit on this one because like I actually like using this gun normally, and I don't like rewind rounds on it because the reload is kind of poopy without it. But with the rewind rounds, you do get like in some insane boss DPS, and just add clear potential on this build is kind of ridiculous. So I will say that getting Outbreak Perfected, I know you have to do the 0-hour mission, but you only have, I mean, realistically, you only have to do the normal one and you'll get Outlaw, and that's still a solid perk to have on Outbreak Perfected. And with the pulse rifle buffs, like I was saying before, with the kinetic pulse rifles, like it is going to be a good option in the final shape. The pulse rifles are getting a substantial buff, and especially the exotic pulse rifles are going to be doing very, very well in the final shape. So having something like Outbreak Perfected is going to be optimal, I guess you would say. Now, if you haven't gotten this from the kiosk at the tower, the exotic kiosk, Witherhoard is another great option. Witherhoard is always great. It has never not been great. It is a solid option for damage, for ad clear, for everything in the game, and with its catalyst giving you auto-loading holster, there's no reason that this gun is one of the best guns in the game. Not much competes with it, and realistically, not having this is kind of a throw, but it's super easy to get right now. You can go to the kiosk at the tower and buy it for an exotic cipher and an Ascendant Shard, and have one of the best guns in the game. Again, the catalyst grind is kind of annoying, but if you're just using this gun all the time, I think you also have to get grenade launcher kills in PvP, so that might be a bad option, an unfortunate option. But you know, it is something that I would recommend to players to go and get, at least before the final shape, because Witherhoard is always good. It has never not been good. Now for the energy slot, one legendary weapon that I will recommend that you should go and get right now if you have Warlord's Ruin is the Indebted Kindness. This is probably one of the best, well, probably the best legendary energy weapon in the game, special weapon too, because of Volt Shot, and this thing is a rocket sidearm. It being a rocket sidearm allows it's very easy to hit enemies, and once you kill one enemy, reload, you also get Volt Shot, it immediately kills the next, and it's Arcs, Volt Shot, everything's low, so it's very easy to kill. And if you get Lead from Gold, which I just don't have, but I don't really care, I use this with Impulse Amplifier, and it works just fine. It is one of the only legendary options that I'm like, yes, this is like, if you're going to go get a weapon out of this list, Indebted Kindness is probably the number one on the list. Like, this is the one to go get, because it makes a lot of stuff pretty trivial. When I said Waveframes have made a lot of the game pretty trivial, this gun alone has made even more things trivial, and we're getting more of them in the final shape. So another good energy primary is Trinity Ghoul. Trinity Ghoul, even though it's getting a nerf in the final shape, is still one of the best ad clear exotics in the game. It is super easy to proc, especially with this catalyst, so you can pick it up from the exotic kiosk, finish the catalyst, and when you get a kill, any kill, it allows you to proc these arc bolts for your arrows, and basically you can just shoot it in the direction of the enemy and it will arc lightning. Now this does not synergize with Arc 3.0, but it doesn't need to, right? This will arc to multiple enemies at the same time, and it has its own damage, so it's always doing so much damage. It is a crazy good ad clear weapon, and it is super easy to get. Exotic heavies. Sleeper Simulant. I know a lot of people don't like Sleeper Simulant or don't think it's very good, but this is probably one of the best linear fusion rifles in the game. It does more base damage than any other legendary fusion rifle, linear fusion rifle in the game. And with its catalyst, it does some big boss numbers. Again, you're sacrificing an exotic slot for it, but if you have nothing else, or you don't want to go get something else, and a cool exotic linear fusion rifle is something you want to get, then this is, you know, something you should go get. Gjallarhorn, of course, Gjallarhorn. This is from the 30th anniversary, and it is hands down probably the best rocket launcher in the game. And you're going to be like, well, technically it doesn't have the highest DPS of any rocket in the game, but I will say the support it offers its team and the ad clear potential of this weapon is unrivaled by almost any gun in the game. The only thing that holds this weapon back is the fact that it's an exotic and it's a heavy weapon. But it is probably like something, if you're looking to get a solid heavy weapon that's an exotic, Gjallarhorn is also another very good option. Again, this comes from the GAS 30th anniversary pack and the Grasp of Avarice dungeon. Within that, you have to do a little quest within it. It's not hard, and getting this catalyst is easy mode. All you do is go into Dares of Eternity, get the little blue aura that you get above your head for doing the challenges or picking the right room, and you just fire Gjallarhorns endlessly. And this thing is so easy, so free. Now, Whisper of the Worm is going to be the last weapon on my list. And why? Because it's the last exotic heavy, and it's the last exotic that I'm going to mention. And why Whisper of the Worm? Whisper of the Worm has one of the highest total damages of any weapon in the game. It is a solid weapon. It is a heavy sniper rifle that does solar damage. And because the mission came back, it is now craftable. You can get things like no distractions or field prep. Field prep is probably the better one because you increase reserves, and now you have even more ammo in this weapon. It is so easy to hit. You just got to set it up with the right traits to whatever you feel like, and this thing is a boss. Now, it's really only a boss on something that either one, you're not getting flinched a bunch in, and two, the boss is far enough away to warrant it. Otherwise, use grenade launchers, but it is a solid option. Now, you do have to do the Whisper mission for it, and the Whisper mission might not be easy, but it is free right now, and LFG is a thing. So, you know, take your chances. If you really want this gun, it is a solid option. And one side note, I do want to mention Dragon's Breath. Dragon's Breath is free with the season. It's free right now. Pick it up. It is probably, like, I remember everybody saying that this gun was going to be probably one of the worst exotics in the game, but it is probably one of the best exotics in the game. So go and pick it up. Its damage is really good. Its ad clear potential is really good. Its synergy with Solar 3.0 is really good. There's really no reasons not to grab this and have this, because it just does very, very well. So that is my list of exotics to pick up for the, well, not just exotics, but weapons to pick up before the final shape. And realistically, it's really up to you. You don't even have to be prepared for the final shape, right? Because most of us aren't. Let's be honest with ourselves. We're not competing for the world's first race. So having, you know, the god tier meta loadouts are going to really make or break it. Most of us probably won't even do the contest mode because we don't like the contest mode. I'm personally not a huge fan of getting one shot by things and just being annoyed. Maybe if I had a full team of people who were willing to do it and wanting to that kind of challenge and willing to sit through it all. But I can say from Root to Nightmares LFGing, trying to do worlds first, I don't want to do it, right? I had a full team for Vow of the Disciple, and it was good, but the error codes really drove my buddies from not wanting to play anymore. Like, just not wanting to play Destiny anymore, right? Because we were trying, like, the raid was cool and we were having fun, but then when we started getting error coded, like, it just drove the fun from us, and then it cost us 6 hours because we couldn't stay in the raid. Like, it was ridiculous. And I personally just don't like either one, error coding, which is bound to happen. Like, yeah, Root to Nightmares was better, but you know, odds are it might not be, and I just don't want to take the chance. Two, finding people who are willing to do it is ridiculously hard, and Bungie does not make that easy. Like, yeah, you have LFG in the game, but realistically, LFG for harder content in the game is just a joke. Like, yeah, you can request people with mics, but those people might not be good people. Those people might be like some of the scum of Destiny, and there's a reason why they're solo players. It's just like, I don't know. I don't want to know if I want to take the risk, but again, like, most of this might not even matter to you. You can go in without getting any guns. You could delete your whole vault realistically and be fine, because I guarantee most of the stuff that's probably coming in the final shape is probably going to be better than what we have now, if not on par. So take it as you will. Make sure if you like this content to like and subscribe, comment what you thought. I know it was a little scatterbrained there for a little bit, but you know, just throwing this out there for you guys. But I will thank you again and see you all later.